I told you, man, for the last time, it don't matter. Just don't cuss, okay? Damn. Um, Anyways, what's up, y'all? My name is Sean Carson, and welcome to The Closing Sidework. This is episode 17, which is our last episode for the season. I have nothing scripted for today, so it's going to be super light and probably super quick. Today's episode just revolves around a question that I want to ask my fellow servers. Who is the most famous person that you ever had the chance to wait on? I have kind of had the pleasure of meeting a lot of people from TV, film, athletes over the years. Everybody was relatively pretty nice. Nothing ever insane or like impossible diva attitude from anyone. I think for me personally, the most famous person that I ever got to wait on was Kevin Hart. He came into the restaurant that I used to work at in the mall that was Pan Asian. And interestingly enough, I met Kevin Hart, for better or for worse, on the same night that they were reading the verdict for the uh, Trayvon Martin case, the George Zimmerman trial. And it was just like a weird day. And earlier in that day, I met Aaron Carter, pop star, brother of Backstreet Boys, Nick Carter, before his untimely demise. He was really, really, really down to earth. I know that he had been going through some issues, obviously, but he was nothing less than well mannered. And as for Kevin, he was pretty chill as well. He kind of came in with an entourage of about 8 to 10 people. They sat kind of all the way in the back. He was just blending. I would imagine somebody that makes a living talking, you know, on stage, telling jokes. They want like a night off, and he just kind of sat like way in the back. In our restaurant, we didn't have like a private room or anything, but in the very, very back, um, we just pushed together a couple tables for him and his group, and he was super dope and super just naturally a funny person. Tipped graciously. He thanked everybody. In my section, there was a couple of other tables that I had that were like asking me to like go over and like have him, sign a napkin, or like this table of like two girls were just kind of like um, ambitious, like wannabe star fuckers, so to speak. They wanted me to try and hook him up with them, and so they could go home with him. And I was like, oh, I can't do that, obviously. One, he's married, and two, I'm not the go-between. So if y'all ladies happen to be watching this video, I hope you hold no ill will towards me. I could have lost my job for that. As we all know, anytime that like celebrity comes in, it's kind of heavily frowned upon. That like you just kind of treat them like a regular civilian, and don't ask for pictures or autographs, or you know. I worked somewhere. It was the same restaurant where Prince Fielder, famous baseball player for the Detroit Tigers, he came in, and he was not in my section, but he was in the section next to me, and the server was asking him for a picture while he was eating. Obviously, Prince got super mad. The server tried to like spin it like what he was asking was nothing outrageous. The guy was just there with his family during the off season. Um, Ric Flair, actually, professional wrestler Ric Flair, he came into the bar one time, same restaurant. And what was really funny is like he was sitting at the bar like by himself, and then like his daughter came and joined him, and the whole time, um, all the boys are freaking out, like, oh, holy shit, that's fucking Ric Flair. And like all the girls are like, why are you boys making such a big deal about that old guy? And we were like, yo, you show some fucking respect. That is a legend. That is Ric Flair, the nature boy himself. And he was super cool. I remember this was like kind of a fanboy moment for like everybody on the staff. We all kind of like instinctually like filed into a line and like lined up as he was leaving. We all shook his hand. We're like, oh, you're amazing. Oh, I remember you at WrestleMania. Like, oh, WCW wasn't the same when you left. And we all shook his hand and just were like on some Wayne's World. We're not worthy. We're not worthy. He was super cool. Interesting fact about Ric Flair. I don't know if he has like a house somewhere near Orange County, Florida, but I've run into Ric Flair a lot, just randomly like around town in places by himself that like he really is just chilling. Like I remember at the community college I went to one night, we sort of had like this weird sort of like meet the professors open house night, and we're all just chilling, and we look up and sitting at this table was just Ric Flair just by himself, just on his BlackBerry, just texting away, and we were just like, "Yo, that's Ric Flair" for some reason. But he was super cool. Another Backstreet Boy, AJ McLean. I've met him a couple of times. Always very sweet, very gracious. Um, I've never met any celebrity that was not, a nice person. You hear all these stories sometimes, and you think somebody's going to be some way, but they're not. And they're just like super cool. Vanilla Ice, another person that like kind of has a reputation like for kind of not really. You don't know what bag he's going to come out of. But honestly, one of the most super humble dudes, and just really just chill. And I mean, the guy made Ice Ice Baby, so I mean, if anybody could have an ego or be jaded, it would be Vanilla Ice. But nah, he was actually super cool. So yeah, for the servers that have not met celebrities just yet, it will probably happen one day. Just keep it cool, even if it is somebody that you're a huge fan of. Just remember, you are at work. Don't do anything crazy to jeopardize your employment or your freedom. If you're a fan, or if you were definitely not a fan, don't say anything crazy that could jeopardize your employment or your freedom. We hear these stories about political figures coming in to restaurants and servers giving them a piece of their mind about, something they said or did that they didn't agree with. I would strongly advise you not to do that unless you just feel like this is just worth it. I always said if I ever saw so and so in person, I was gonna tell them off. Maybe that's your manifesto. I don't know. If it's not that serious, just treat it like a normal, average Tuesday lunch. That's my advice. But yeah, I want to hear from y'all. Um, who is the most famous person that's ever come in that you've ever served? Were they nice to you? Were they mean? Did they live up to the expectation that you thought they had? Did they surprise you? I want to hear from y'all. Feel free to do that, of course, right after you hit like and subscribe. And while you're doing that, tell your friends to do the same thing. That is it for today's episode. I want to thank everybody that is watching this video, that's watched all the videos. I will be back with one more, technically, which is the finale. But this is it for the scripted stuff. So thank you so much. This has been the closing Sidework. I'm always Sean Carson, and y'all are forever awesome. I love you. Thank you so very much. Bye, y'all.